I'm Drew,
I'm Tony.
and this is Back for Our Future, the show that looks back at our past to maybe inform our future. We don't even care anymore. We just having fun talking about movies from the 90s, music from the 90s, 90s related things, just because that's when we grew up. Welcome back to the show. Even though you're here every week, I just like to say it. I'm just saying welcome back because it's good to see your face. Welcome back,
Hey,
Tony.
good to see you too, pal. You welcome back to you as well.
It's been a wild summer of movie stuff. It's been a wild summer of music stuff. I've had a insanely wild summer of shitty work stuff. But you've been having all the fun. A friend of ours came to visit. You got to see a good buddy of ours. I haven't seen that dude in like 12 years or something.
It's been a long time. I mean, I hadn't seen him for quite a few years. And the guy we're talking about is world famous '80s artist Stevie B, Stephen Brown. Yeah, he came in town. We had gotten, we've been talking about concerts and music and stuff like that. Of course, he listens to the show, so so we had, kind of started talking a little bit more and more, and I mean, I keep up with him every once in a while, but not nearly as much as we have been lately. And he was like, hey, if some good concerts or something start popping in, let me know, and I'll drive in. So he did. We so right after he said that, the Urge and Less Than Jake uh, came down for the big throwdown here in St. Louis. They call it the Big Throwdown. They had like a little pre-party thing with food trucks and stuff like that. And Steve drove in on a Friday night. We went to that concert on a Saturday and hung out for a couple days that weekend, and had a lot of fun. Less Than Jake and the Urge, still amazing. And kind of harken back to, because it was right around his birthday. This is like his birthday week, and so basically what ended up happening was he came in, stayed for a couple days, but it was kind of harkened back to, when you also were on that at that show back when we took Steven to New Orleans for his birthday uh, back in the '90s, like '98, and yeah, we saw The Urge and Two Skinny Jays and Codmouth Kings and Sprung Monkey at the House of Blues. Yeah, and that was the same night that Steve and I went upstairs and had a beer with one of the Urge guys as well, because we had separated off after the show, after that show, and then Steve and I went and tooled around New Orleans, and you were with your girl at the time, so yeah, you guys went back to wherever. So
What girl was it? Because I don't remember.
that was Amy Graham.
Was it really? I
Yeah,
guess it was. Yeah, 98. That would have been Amy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Well, she
yeah.
wasn't going to let us. She wasn't going to let me do anything fun.
No, of course. Yeah, we
No.
had all we had all the fun because you left almost immediately after the show, and Steve and I ended up at the on the top floor of the House of Blues, and the Urge guys came up there. We had a beer with one of them, and yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. And then
That's
him and I
good.
stuff, and but let's kind of harken back to that, because man, the Urge still kick it, man. They're really great, and Less Than Jake was awesome. Less Than Jake opened up for them because it's in St. Louis. The Urge still very popular here.
I was going to say that's their hometown. So, like, I can only imagine they probably just blow the lid off of it.
Well, the House of Blues, that was the night that I had worn. Remember, I was pretty sure that if I wore all Cardinal stuff to that show, that they would recognize us, and I did, and they did. Steve Ewing kept showing us love and everything else. Jerry Jost put the guitar down in front of us and everything else. So it was pretty cool. But we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun that night. They're always great anyway, but yeah, they recognized the St. Louis guy in front of them, so that was kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's
They're
good.
they like to recognize their hometown. They've never not been in St. Louis. Like, they've always been in St. Louis. So, which is different than some bands that got big over the years and just decided, hey, we're going to L.A., or we're going to go to New York, or wherever
Well,
they.
even like I don't know why they do it, but even like a band that's massive, one of the most massive bands from Alabama ever, the Red Clay Strays, they're technically not from Mobile. They're from Daphne. They're from Eastern Shore. Like, it's a very clear distinction, but they don't say that. That's not a public statement. It's Mobile. When you hear them talk about it, it's always Mobile, Mobile. and maybe those guys played here, but they didn't live here, because I used to have to drive across the bay and do stuff with them, and it was all the way. And that's back when they were with, I won't say the name, I don't want to get any trouble going, but that's back when they were with a different record label, and
Yeah.
that record label is across the bay.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, like even Steve Ewing, he's got all his businesses here and stuff like that. He does like Steve's Hot Dogs, which has got a couple.
That's so
Yeah. So it's great, you know. And I mean, so everything's in St. Louis for them, and I love that they've kept their St. Louis roots throughout, no matter how big they got at one point, because they were pretty big in the '90s for sure,
yeah.
and they were a big national touring band at that point. They still play 311 every once in a while, because they'll come at 311 when they're kind of regional, and sometimes the Urge will maybe do like one show a little bit further away than just in the region, but they don't play a lot of shows every year, but they do play some, so it's kind of cool. So we got to see them hang out, catch up. He still looks great, he's doing well, and so it was kind of fun. The last time I saw him, it was like at a funeral, so kind of a sad occasion. This was a lot more fun.
He's got kids in college, which is crazy.
Yeah, he's got like a 21-year-old son.
Yeah. Will's grown up, dude. He's yeah, it's crazy.
1 years old, like what the heck? Like what's going on?
It's crazy.
He had kids before like everybody else, so now he's got like the oldest kids. Pretty much. Yeah, I think him and maybe Alex Rivera had like the kids before everybody else of anyone we know. Yeah, I think that's
yeah. And then Booty had kids later. Like he has like little kids.
Yes,
he does. He spans eras. He's the Odyssey.
He does. Yes, yeah. He's got an army. So children. Yeah, absolutely. Good to see those guys doing. So that's great.
Steve's a good dude.
Sure, he'll like to hear his name talked about for the first several minutes of the show.
Well, he's a good guy. He's longtime friend. I mean, he's always been a good guy.
He's great. So it's fun to have him in. He just drove in, and we did that and had a blast, and so it harkens back to the '90s a little bit, because we did see those guys back in the '90s quite a bit. So about that Less Than Jake show too. Remember when we saw Less Than Jake over in him and I talked about it, but Less Than Jake. Remember when we saw them in
Pensacola?
Yeah, they played with that band. Yeah, they played at the band Shift, and we had all kinds of rowdiness there that night. Yeah. I was like back.
Yeah.
I was like Mike Kirkwood was there. Remember that?
Yep. That guy used to wear kilts.
He used to wear a kilt. He might have been wearing one that night, I think, quite honestly.
Yeah. He was definitely that guy is a classic provocateur, like in every facet. I think back to it, like something else. I don't remember I think one of the guys I ride mountain bikes with he's actually, he was in the strongman competitions. Like he's a monster, and he wore a kilt when he did all that stuff. And he showed up one day wearing a kilt, and we were laughing, and it gave me a flashback to Mike. I started thinking about that dude, and he was a provocateur, because if you remember, he was like, and I don't mean this in the candid sense of political parties now, but this guy was like super duper crazy level liberal back then. And then he would wear the kilt on purpose just to get a rise out of people. And he was constantly antagonizing people. I mean, he's not that he's a bad guy. He just definitely was one of those dudes that he was exactly that. Like his job was to piss people off, and he was very good at it.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah, he liked to stir the pot. There's no doubt about that.
He's probably a diehard MAGA supporter now, which is the irony of getting old, is that things shift.
I've been meaning to always ask you if you knew anything about him, if you run across him at all, because he moved to Mobile at one point, and when we were hanging out with him, he moved to Mobile at one point, but I don't know anything about him anymore. Some of those. That's the thing, like, that's what makes it so great, when like we still talk, or we still talk to Steven or anything like that. It's like you don't always have to have kept in touch with everybody, so it's kind of nice when you are able to,
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Especially guys that have been through so much. Like, like Steve's been around since the early hate. I mean, Steve's in Can't Wait 1 Minute More, so he goes way back.
Talked
You
about
know,
that. Yeah.
like yeah, so he's been around so long, so he's like a legacy guy at that point. I mean, he's 2 or 3 years removed from you and I first meeting in reality, right? Because it
Yeah.
might have been ninth or 10th grade.
And he's even, we were talking about that because he doesn't really pop up in our group for a couple of years or so. Because he starts working, he works at the KB, the KB drugs place, and next to Subway, and then comes in because Jonathan Green kind of brings him in.
Yeah. Yep.
That's right. Yeah. So we had talked about that. It was like we were running around the same circles the whole time. Tim and I talk about this all the time. It was like, we were um, going to all the same concerts. He was at the Primus Melvin show. He was at the Less Than Jake show. He was at the Yeah, he was at all those shows, but we never saw him. He was at Smashing Pumpkins the night that the car broke down. Could have given me a ride home, but I didn't know him. So, you know, there you go.
Sure would have been nice. Could have saved you a lot of hassle.
Should have been nice, but I got Troy Tuggle, so that's all good.
Yeah, old Troy. He's a good guy too. He's a very devout spiritual guy now, which is hilarious, but I think it's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good. Well, he's always a good dude anyway. So
Yeah, he's sweet as candy. Let's jump into the show. We've got some stuff to start out with. Again, as we go through the show, because it's about the '90s. The crazy wild part is a lot of those actors were, I mean, that was 30 years ago, so they were a different age, and things happen, and some of it's unfortunate. And the further we move along in the timeline, some of them go to a different place, and we're going to start out by paying a tribute to three of them. All three of them extremely unique careers. All three of them have really major impacts on you and I, which is sad. One of them's obviously, when we get to her, is massive. But let's start out with the first guy, and we lost Sam Neill, which is, from a character perspective,
yeah,
Sam Neill's done tons of stuff, but I mean, there's not many filmmakers I don't know that cite Jurassic Park being one of the movies that blew their mind and made them want to be a filmmaker. And there he is as Dr. Grant pulling his glasses, lifting his hat when he sees the dinosaur. I'll never forget that shot for as long as I live. But I also remember the absolute terror that he caused in Event Horizon, which is one of the scariest films I've ever seen in my entire life.
yeah, yeah. We'll get to that one in just a second. I mean, he had been around since like the '70s, but I think first time I really took notice of him because he was kind of worked more overseas and stuff at the time. But the first movie I kind of noticed him in was Dead Calm from
Oh, it's a
1980.
great movie, too. It's a great movie.
It is a great movie. Phil Weiss and directed, but Nicole Kidman. It's like an early Nicole Kidman role, and Billy Zane back when he was kind of bigger and stuff. Yeah, so I mean, Dead Calm is an amazing thriller. That's one of those underrated movies that if you can find it, because I don't know if you can, but if you can
That's
find
true.
Dead, good one. That's a good one for sure. And then of course he started getting bigger, right? I mean, because like then he's in The Hunt for Red October, and he's really got a good role in Memoirs of an Invisible Man, which is a movie we've talked
Oh, yeah.
about. He's
Yeah.
like the villain who's chasing Chevy Chase throughout that movie. Of course, he's in the piano, and of course Jurassic Park and the Jungle Book and the Mouth of Madness
That movie's
and
messed up, too.
Messed Up. Yeah, and so he's got a lot of good roles. And then of course Event Horizon in 1997, which is a crazy movie, and apparently it was.
Brutal.
Have you ever heard about all the stuff that they cut from that movie?
Yeah, I've never seen it, though, but I've just heard stories, especially on YouTube. There's like lore about it.
No one's ever seen it. They had cut they had shot a massive amount of gore and stuff like that that was supposed to go into that movie, which probably would make it in now. But yeah, they they shot a bunch of other stuff that was supposed to go into that film that never got in, and because it was messing up with test audiences were freaking out, and the studio said no way, so they had to cut a bunch of it, and apparently there's apparently, by lore only, there was apparently a VHS tape that has all the stuff that was kind of edited out, but no one's ever seen it. It was apparently in the hands of like one of the producers, but I don't think he's ever watched it. Apparently, it never was watched, and uh, Anderson never got hold of it.
Man.
Yeah, it's weird, very weird. So I don't know what all happened with that, but anyway, that never came to fruition, and so some of that footage is gone and whatnot. But yeah, but I mean, the Horse Whisperer, Bicentennial Man. I mean, the guy did tons of stuff, and of course, all those Jurassic Park movies, and um, being Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 3, and of course, he'd come back later for the into the Jurassic World franchise with Dominion and such. But yeah, great actor. You know, is your favorite Sam Neill movie Jurassic Park?
Yeah, I mean, I like it a lot just because of how much of an impact. Him being Dr. Grant and just how good he was. Because I think for me as a kid, that's the first time I remember him, or that's what my memory tells me. And so I followed his career because he would show up and stuff, and I liked him. Like Jurassic Park was he was so good in that movie, and he had such a great role that then he was kind of like one of those father figure type actors where, you just kind of watched him because you liked him. He was like your distant uncle, and it was cool to see him. But just listening to the list, I mean, listening to the guy's list of movies is like every one of them made money. Like he must have had an absolutely, I mean, obviously had a great career, but he also had a great financial side of that career. Everything he was in gave him residual lifetime fun, and he was a mailbox money winner for sure.
Well, yeah, because I mean, all those movies were in secondary markets, big secondary markets. So that's always nice. Even like Memoirs of an Invisible Man didn't make huge box office wise, but was definitely bigger on video and such. So yeah, I think that's one of my favorite roles of his, though. Memoirs of an Invisible Man, outside of Jurassic Park franchise, of course. I mean, but Dead Calm, and Memoirs of an Invisible Man, I think are my two like ones that are not Jurassic Park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I like. I mean, obviously, Event Horizon I like because of how terrifying it is, and I made a mistake. I mean, I've made lots of mistakes. This show is just basically a testament of the number of mistakes I've made. Certainly, with some level of alcohol or drug abuse. But this is a true story. I made a mistake when I was way younger. And if you guys don't know, In the Mouth of Madness, it's based on Cthulhu guy. What's his name? I can't think of his name. But whatever that Horst would kill me. He's obsessed with him. But whatever that guy's name is that writes the Cthulhu stuff and all that junk. And it's all like really esoteric doom, grim darky type. It's heavy, man. And I, like an idiot, took acid and watched that movie.
yeah,
Now,
yeah,
so people understand acid LSD. So people understand that my brain, when it reacts to it, never gave me like crazy visuals. I never had any of that kind of stuff. The times I've participated in that event, and it was not a micro dose of Trend. It was a regular dose worth, but it still put me in a weird emotional state. And that is not the movie. You do not need to be in a mentally impaired emotional state watching a movie about a guy who's in a mentally impaired emotional state and is drifting towards madness. Not a good idea. It was not a good night for me. Bad idea.
we hung around a lot, but I never did some stuff that you did.
No, you never did that stuff. You weren't, that wasn't your world. But like it was
Yeah,
what a mistake. Mistakes were made.
I do remember that kind of stuff though, because I remember I was always around you guys
Oh,
when
yeah.
when you were tripping or something like that. I was always around. I mean, I was always there. I was always the little guy on the shoulder, being like, "Don't do that, don't do that, don't do that." And there's always the other guy. Jonathan Green or somebody on the other shoulder. Do it, do it, do
The
it.
funny part is, here we are now in 2026, and there's all this discussion about psychedelics being legalized because they help the brain, and yet we were over here, some of us were over here abusing the shit out of them like idiots. What a dumb call. What a dumb call. But, I'm pretty normal most of the time. Do you see the stars right now? Just kidding.
Stars, they're beautiful. The Yeah, so I mean, that movie pays tribute to the works of H.P. Lovecraft, who I think is what
Lovecraft, thank you. My God, I couldn't think of the name. Good
I didn't
grief.
really interrupt you there. But yeah, it does. I mean, it's every bit as weird as it sounds. It's a crazy, crazy film. Yeah, I mean, but Sam's got a lot of that kind of stuff on. I mean, he likes challenging roles, so that's always a good thing in an actor, though. I mean, that's what you want. Somebody who wants to be challenged on a on a set. So that's a good thing. It's a good quality in an actor for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
100%.
he's one of the best ones out. He was one of the best ones out there. So yeah, he had a lot of good roles because he was willing to do that. So, and also I think he valued his family life a lot, because I mean I think he could have taken a lot more roles as well in the course of time. But I think he could have been in even more stuff. But I think he turned down a good bit as well to live a normal family life. So that's pretty
It's good.
admirable.
Well, I mean, it is because he never had to chase the money. It's not because I've been asked this. I'm sure you have too. It's like a lot of times we get asked about guys, and I'm not knocking them because I love Nicolas Cage, but Nicolas Cage has this string of movies that are, kind of low budget and weird and out there, or just cheaper films. And a lot of it has to do with the fact of like he has a lot of debt. He's got to pay his bills because he ran. Meanwhile, like Sam's over there just chilling. He's like, yeah, I'm with my family. I'm going to do 2 movies in 4 years.
pulling the Daniel Day Lewis or something like that, where he does
Yeah, boy. Yeah.
10 years.
I appreciate it. I appreciate that side of it. It's the same. It's the same way a lot with another person who is obviously very connected to you and I in terms of what one of her characters was, but it's the same way with Brenda Fricker. I mean, this lady, most people are not going to know her name. I think most people, if they saw her face, certainly as Charlie's mom, but most people, if they saw her face, would recognize her, and they definitely would know her voice. But most people probably wouldn't recognize her from So I'm Married. They wouldn't recognize her from a lot of stuff, but they would. They would know her from Toy Story 2, from Home Alone 2.
Yeah, Home Alone 2, of course. But Brenda Fricker, I think the first time I ever saw her, because I mean she worked overseas for a long time, and of course you don't always see those movies when you're younger. So the first time I ever really got to see her was in, of course, My Left Foot,
Well,
which
yeah,
was Daniel Day Lewis and directed by Jim Sheridan, which is a great movie. It's funny because it came out in 1989. It's a pretty heavy film, and I think I saw it. I remember seeing it with, not in theaters. I saw it with my buddy Todd Darling, and we were up. My mom and I had gone back to New Jersey after we'd moved, gone back up to New Jersey for a visit in like late night in like the 90s, like 1990, and we rented it. It was one of the movies we rented for that weekend, and during that week that we were up there, and so him and I watched it, and it's a crazy little movie, but everyone's great. Yeah, so that's kind of where I first took notice of her, and then of course she'd be in The Field and Home Alone 2, which that was the movie that when she passed away, everyone's like, the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2,
yeah.
which is
Unfortunately, yes.
full, of course, but I don't think was the role she wanted to be as known for as she was. And then, of course, So I Married an Axe Murderer, which she's Charlie's mom in So I Married an Axe Murderer, and she's quite good in that.
But she's great. She's great, dude. She delivers some of the greatest bangers in history.
Oh yeah, and she's and what a great role, right? Because she's playing Charlie's mom, so she's playing against Mike Myers, and then she's also Stewart's wife, and she's also playing against Mike Myers, which which I always thought was pretty comical. And then you throw in Nancy Travis because she's got some scenes with her in there too, and it's kind of great. But she is funny, and of course she talks about the tabloids and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. You get the Pentaveret stuff set up
Yeah,
from her. I mean, it gets said by Stewart, but it gets teased. The thing that I thought was most interesting about that scene is because that I didn't know who she was until that movie, and obviously I'll never forget her as long as I live. I remember her from Home Alone, but she'll be burned in my brain as Charlie's mom. She's Irish, playing a Scottish woman, which I think is just a lot of fun. I think it's just a fun moment. She was born in Ireland, and yet she plays this Scottish character, which is always good.
yeah. That's just yeah, that's one of those things. Um, but she got best supporting actress for My Left Foot, which I'm about to bring up when we talk about that. But also, another movie that I really liked her in was Angels in the Outfield.
Oh yeah, it's a good film.
Yeah, because she's the one who's kind of watching over the foster kids and the foster mom and stuff like that in that movie, which I thought was a good film, and she's great in it. And yeah, I mean she's got tons of other stuff here, and those weren't the movies that she really liked to be known for, I mean, but I know she liked, but she liked to be. She took herself as a serious actress, which she was most of the time, and really liked to be known for her more serious, challenging roles, which most actors do. But those aren't the ones that most people know, So,
No, it's how it works.
then she had a bunch of other, but again, another person who kind of took a step back, as and wanted to have a normal existence, which is always a good thing. Didn't really take herself as a celebrity, just a serious actress, which is always good as well. So didn't
Yeah,
have the career later on that a character actress like herself would normally maybe have. So
yeah. She was, rest in peace. I mean, she had a good run too. So I wish her and her family the very best. Just a classy lady, and again, very talented actor. There's no doubt in the world about it. In fact, all three of these have been the other. Is there anything else you wanted to say about Brenda? I was going to roll over to
go
Vinny.
ahead. Yeah, she's great. So I Married an Axe will always be my favorite movie of hers.
Yeah,
I don't
of course, of
care
course.
how
There's no way around.
she's great in everything else, but So I Married an Axe it's just like because of the movie. It's just what it
Yeah,
is. What it is. Everybody knows that. Who's listening to us
yeah.
knows that.
Uh, so well, Vinny P is what Vincent Pastore. Is it Pastore or Pastor?
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Pastore.
He passed away, and that guy, again, you may not know his name, 100% know his face because he's in every gangster film ever made. And even if the movie has an animated gangster, chances are he's the animated voice, or he's the voice of an animated gangster, or someone who feels like a mafioso. Also known for, he was on The Sopranos regularly, which is not one of the shows I really enjoy. So I know him from his film career, not necessarily from Sopranos. Now, my wife, who
Yeah,
is a huge she's literally watching The Sopranos again I think this is her 15th or 16th time watching that.
straight.
She loves that show. What's that?
It's their 15th or 16th time watching straight through.
Yes, dude.
That's dedication.
She just turns it on. She turns on the most depressing crap. She turns on The Sopranos and Mad Men. Both shows end with horrifically abrupt, annoying endings, but she just watches them. And Battlestar Galactica, that also ends abruptly. She just likes abrupt endings, and then she just starts it over. Like, that's what she does. It just goes on in the background while she's doing laundry or whatever it is she does. I don't know. I don't see her.
Well, the endings are what they are, but I mean, the ride is always what's the great thing, right? So the journey getting to those endings is always wonderful. And Sopranos is pretty epic. Um, so yeah, I mean,
It's like The
first,
Godfather. It's just not my thing.
what's that?
I said it's like The Godfather. It's just not my thing.
Why
I
don't you just
tried
wait?
it.
Why don't you just listen? Why don't you just say you hate Italians and get it over with?
No, because I love Goodfellas. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and he's in it.
He was in Goodfellas. Um, Vincent Pastore plays the coat rack guy in Goodfellas. Like he's got this little, very tiny scene, but he's in that film. I think the first time I ever really saw him though was in a movie that doesn't really get talked about. I'm not entirely sure anyone can find it, to be honest with you. But it was a crime drama film. Of course, it involved a mafia family, but it's a movie called Men of Respect,
I've never even
and
heard of it.
it's he's in it, but is of course a smaller role. But I think this is the first time I ever saw him. It's got John Turturro, Dennis Farina, Peter Boyle, Stanley Tucci, Stephen Wright, Rod Steiger. It's a really good movie if people if people can find it. Didn't really have a box office. It was like one of those movies that got released with a small box office release, theatrical. Then it was popped up on video, and the only reason I saw it was because it was a Farmore rental, and one of those movies that when I was allowed to rent 6 movies at once at Farmore, you could rent Farmore, right? And so it was one of those. Like I was like, oh, this sounds pretty good. It's like a mafioso film, and so he's in that, and then Vincent would have like 300 credits.
Yeah.
He was like, if you had a movie that involved mafioso, crime family, Italians in general, he was there. He was, you know. But yeah, I mean, and he's in just a ton of stuff. I mean, I remember him in the movie Who's the Man, which was great. He's in
Oh yeah.
Carlito. He's in the he plays that state trooper that in the ref.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I can't go over all his stuff because he's got so much, but he's got a really good spot in as Tony Scarboni in the Jerky Boys, the movie, as well.
Right. That's right.
So, and so like he's got some really funny stuff. He could kind of do it all too, right? So he's in Mickey Blue Eyes as well, but he could be really funny because he had a really good sense of humor, and he also was able to be serious and like he is in Sopranos a lot, and yeah, so yeah.
Was his character in Sopranos? I'm not going to say the whole name because it could be taken as offensive. Is he Big Kitty Cat in The Sopranos, or is that somebody else?
He is, yes, yes.
That's so good, dude. That's great.
He is in that. I'm not going to say how he exits that show or anything, but people can watch it for themselves. But I'm not really spoiling it at this point, but still, he's there.
Don't want to exit. You don't want to spoil it for the 16th watch for my wife. My wife.
Not worried about her. Not worried about the other people that may actually want to find the show at some point. Because I know binge watch is kind of a thing. It's been a thing for a while. So people
That one's
people
not hard to find. HBO will milk that. It'll stay on HBO Max until the end of time.
that's one of the good things about HBO. Okay, that's one of the good things about Max, right? Because even on like my parents have DirecTV, and DirecTV on when you go on demand for HBO, you can find every single show that has ever been on HBO. It doesn't matter if it was on there for 10 seasons. It doesn't matter if it was on there for one season. It's on there. So they do not take their shows off. I mean, there's shows on there that I don't even remember. I wasn't even watching. Watched one episode of. Didn't even recognize it as a show. Didn't even really see it. Yeah, I mean that's how. I mean that's the beauty of them. So I like when people do that because then you can actually find the stuff as opposed to you and I talking about these movies, which I'm not entirely sure. I just said we're talking about a bunch of these movies from the early '90s right now, like Men of Respect. I'm not entirely sure you'd ever be able to find that film now. So
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, when in doubt, as we've said before, when in doubt, go to YouTube, because YouTube ends up
you do have,
having it on there, ad supported by some dude who's ripped it from the only VHS copy that exists.
yeah.
You know?
So Vincent Pastore was not one of the people that because at some point I do my Marlon Brando impersonation, and I win this dinner with Sopranos cast members, and get to go to this premiere of like the second episode of the second season, and then I get to go again. I win again, and well, at that point I didn't have to win. They just invited me. Once I went the first time, I would start getting invites to all these HBO premieres. Um, and I went again, and then Steve Sharipa was there. But yeah, I mean, but the other guys were there. Some of the other guys were there, but he was not there for the first one. So I never got to meet Vincent Pastore. I never worked with him or anything, but great actor for sure.
Yeah, he was again, knew what to do, had it in droves, had that charisma, knew how to do it. He was great, no doubt about that.
Great to have a look like that, and the voice and everything else that goes along with it, because then you can be cast in any of those roles forever. Whether it be in a mafia family, or just being a kind of the thug hitman type or whatever,
Oh yeah, oh, yeah,
or whatever the role might be, right?
yeah. Filled it well. Well, that's three there that obviously we've enjoyed their work, and they were all three very different. You had all three of them, no overlap, all brand name people, faces that you recognize, performances that you love. So as I said earlier at the very beginning of it, it's just part of when you do a show that talks about the past, and some of these guys this is their heyday is this 90s period. And then, things happen and move on. But as we get into this, we're going to move back to April. We're in the back half of April. Just got two little pieces here to cover in April. But one of them, I would argue, is maybe one of the most iconic films in history that comes out on April 26th.
Yeah, it's up there. The comedy world for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
Also musically, didn't that song come out? Didn't that song come out for that movie?
yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty big song. I mean, it's a pretty iconic rap song.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're talking about the movie Friday, folks. We're talking about the movie Friday.
Yeah. Pretty epic movie. There's no doubt about that. I saw this at theaters.
Now, did you go with Andy?
Did not
or,
go. I did not go. No, I did not. I just kind of went by myself and checked it out, and then I saw it a second time with Big A, which that
Okay.
checks. That checks. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
It is a great soundtrack as well. You're talking about like Friday and Keep Their Heads Ringing.
Yeah. I mean, it's killer soundtrack.
Amazing, and just he's got all the good ones in here. All the great artists. Yeah. But I mean, Ice Cube and Chris Tucker hanging out on the stoop Friday, all the liners, right? And this cast is pretty amazing. Neill Long and uh, Tiny Lister Jr. and Regina King and Anna Maria Horsford and Bernie Mac, and I love John Witherspoon.
Yeah, John Witherspoon's great.
Yeah, he was great. But directed by F. Gary Gray, and it's funny because it's like a $3 million movie, and it did like 27 million, and that's good. 27. But this movie really finds its audience on home video, right?
Oh
Because
yeah.
that's iconic is later on, and then it spawned some sequels, which Chris Tucker's not in, but Ice Cube's in. They bring in Mike Epps to kind of fill the Chris Tucker role, and Mike Epps is good too. But yeah, this is a classic for sure, and it's funny because this came out in '95, and I think in let's see what year was that 2006. I worked with Tiny Lister on a movie.
Man.
Yeah, I did worked with him on a movie in Jason Kemp and I worked with him on a movie in Vegas called The Grand, and he's in that poker movie, that Woody
Yeah.
Harrelson movie.
Yeah.
And so, and listen, man, I mean, this guy always is typecast as this like because he's Zeus from No Holds Barred as well,
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna bring it up. I was
right?
gonna bring it up. Yeah.
And that's where that's where I first took notice of him, of course, right? And then he's in this, and he's Debo in this, and he's a total jerk in this as well. And he's always played these roles where he's the heavy and he's a tough guy, and you kind of guy you wouldn't want to see in a back alley. And then you meet Tiny Lister, and he's the biggest smiling teddy bear there is on the planet. He's the most pleasant human being ever. And I just remember being on this set with him at one point, and we were getting along really really well. And he came up to me at one point. And he was like, "We got to do a short together. We got to do something together." And it never came to fruition. But I just always loved the fact that he wanted to do do like a separate project with me. You know, that was amazing.
Ah,
Uh,
it's so good.
and then we were at the rap party, and it was because the rap party ends up out in L.A. So I took somebody that was out in L.A. with me, and I took Jared Murray, and so Jared Murray and I went to the, like the rap party for that, and so he was like, of course he wanted to meet him because he's a fan of this film, and he's also a big wrestling fan, so he knows him, Zeus, of course. And so he's like, man, I really want to meet him, but is he cool? And I was like, oh, dude, he's like the nicest guy on the planet. We're smiling right now. And so I took him over there to meet him. But yeah, he was the sweetest guy, and of course he passed away a few years back. But yeah, just the nicest man you would ever want to meet. And this is a classic film. There's no doubt, and it is a classic soundtrack as well. And this is about as good. I mean, Ice Cube's done a lot of pretty good roles. Really good stuff. I mean, he's got a lot of funny things. He pops up in a lot of comedies and stuff. But this is about as good as it gets. I've never heard him say that this is his favorite thing he's ever done, but he might have said it somewhere down the line. But it's got to be up there, right?
I bet it's his mailbox favorite thing he's ever done.
it's,
This is one of those movies that, like you said, like I think about it from going back to when it came out, and again didn't make it the rounds, but it was like year after year, you would end up at some party or at some event all through, once we started going to college and all, and that movie was just associated. Like right now, I say this all the time, but the president of the company, if I started making Friday quotes, she could fire a quote back toe to toe because it became part of our generational movies. It's one of those movies that it may not, like, my parents wouldn't have watched it, and the kids below us, probably the millennials, aren't going to watch it. But for Gen X, it was up there. It was one of those movies like Singles or whatever else. It just was on the black culture side of things, and it's just one of those movies that just exists as part of our timeline. And I don't know, I'm very fond of it. I enjoy it. I think it's funny. It's one of my favorite Chris Tucker movies. Ice Cube is brilliant in it. Tiny Lister. I mean, the entire cast, as you already pointed out, they're just all super solid. And again, I think it's one of those movies that you go back to it and watch it, and it's a little bit nostalgia. It's like seeing an old friend. It's just one of those kind of films that just sticks with me.
yeah. I mean, Chris Tucker ends up doing other stuff too, with Rush Hour and other movies and things like that, and Money Talks and stuff. All his stuff with Brett Ratner and everything. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of an iconic role for him, and maybe his best role. And he kind of walked away from the franchise, and and that's okay. But because that was kind of his thing, he likes doing a movie here or there, but he never really wanted to do them all the time. So that's respectable. And but yeah, this is Chris Tucker kind of at his best in a lot of ways, and he's really funny here.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he's great. The funniest part is I've seen some kids use the memes, like especially like the damn, like I've seen that meme get used and they have no idea, they've never seen the movie. But the meme, which is Chris Tucker and Ice Cube sitting on the stoop, is like iconic, right? It's just one of those things. I've had people describe someone as Debo big. I mean, I have heard all kinds of and it's cultural references that if you don't know them, it's because you probably didn't grow up with this movie, as part of your cultural lexicon, and it's just one of those ones that it just sticks. So it's funny because as we go through this, I think I've mentioned this maybe before. I know you and I have talked about it. I one time heard this book. We'll get there when we get to 1999 has a bunch of really big banger movies, like pretty big name stuff happens. But as we go through these lists and we hit on some of these keynotes, man, especially 95 is starting to feel like a pretty punchy year in terms of movies and music. There's stuff that comes out here that just changes the course of entertainment history. And, it kind of introduces. Friday was a movie that, like you said, 3 million to produce, 27 at the box office. I don't even want to fathom what it's probably, aftermarket is. It's ludicrous at that point.
Secondary markets, I mean, that it's huge. A lot of movies get found there, and this is one of them as well. 'Cause, I mean, it did. It like I said, it did well in theaters. Because I remember seeing it over off of Dolphin Street, and where movies like Friday played. Um, but yeah, I mean, in '95, when you bring up early and mid '90s, you're still trying to find markets for certain types of films, like urban films and things like that. You're getting a lot more of that, and this is kind of the. I mean, there are plenty of urban comedies before this, but this is kind of relaunching that genre a little bit, I would say. And I mean, because you have movies like Boys in the Hood, that kind of stuff was coming. They were doing a lot of like serious urban films, like that and New Jack City and Juice and movies of that persuasion. But this was a comedy, something really funny, and involving all these great comedic actors and comedians and stuff. So, and like I said, I just love John Witherspoon. I always loved him. He's passed away, but I really thought he was a very very funny comedic actor. Very
He
funny.
had he had he had one of the he had a great voice, and his timing on top of it just made him that much better.
And he's great here as Ice Cube's dad's.
It's good stuff. So, well, I assume that must have been a Wednesday release. Is that accurate? Because I see that the next movie date we have is April 28th, which I assume is a Friday, and we get a interesting mix of movies.
Yeah, kind of smaller releases overall, but I mean, interesting stuff for a lot of different reasons. Yeah, and we'll start out with Destiny Turns on the Radio, which came out that Friday. And of course, this is not like a huge movie. It earned like a couple $1 million at the box office. I saw it at Village Six. What it's known for, and it's a really
Mm-hmm.
good. What it's known for is being part of the piece of the puzzle for the Nancy Travis, the Tony Love affair of Nancy Travis that is currently happening in the '90s, right? And this is part of that. 1995, Destiny turns on the radio. Nancy Travis is in it, and I'm like, I gotta go see that without question. It's a
Right.
must theater. And so it's Nancy Travis is in it, of course, and Dylan McDermott, Quentin Tarantino is acting.
So I'm going to be honest with you. When you teed up the part of the puzzle.
Yeah.
Before you said that portion of it, I thought you were going to say this is what it's known for, is the fact that it's one of the few movies Quentin Tarantino fully acts in. That's what I thought you were going to go with.
He does fully act in it. James Belushi's in it. Tracy Walter. I mean, it's a cool cast. I don't know if you can even find it now. Bobcat Goldthwait's in it. So David Cross, so it's got a good cast, but good luck finding it. I'm sure. I don't even know if you can find this film.
It was tricky to find the trailer. A lot of times I like to watch the trailers before we go in, and it was hard enough. I had to do a little bit of digging to get to it, but you can find at least the trailer online, but it's tricky. I don't know where the whole movie would be. You might get lucky on our unofficial sponsor Pluto that it just shows up there in the 90s channel. Yeah.
You might be able to find, might be able to, but I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
we give those streamers a lot of credit, but they don't always have these movies either. So yeah, I don't know. Check it out.
Well, while that one's hard to find, this one might also be hard to find. It's going to be a Chuck Norris movie with a dog. It's called Top Dog. Chuck Norris, is it a German Shepherd? I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But it's Chuck Norris and a dog solving crimes.
Directed, of course, by Aaron Norris as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
It's like a $6 million movie that made like $6 million at the box office. So it was pretty even keel. But I mean, you got Chuck Norris and you got a dog. What can go wrong?
I can't imagine the production on this was the greatest. I bet it was brutal. I bet it was just brutal.
It's kind of known for being like Chuck Norris's last theatrical film before kind of switching more to the direct to video route for a while. He'll pop up in theaters again, but this is kind of the last theatrical film we see of him for a good bit. And Top Dog, baby. Have you seen this film?
Yeah. I actually may have been one of the people who paid to see it.
Yeah, we didn't see this together, but I did see this at the theaters, and I definitely saw it at. Again, I saw this at this was a dollar theater one for me. I saw dollar theater movies 10.
Yeah, I don't remember where I saw it. I've seen it because I remember the key art, and I remember fragments of it. Not something that stuck with me. There was better cop dog movies. We've talked about the best one. I think we agree that it's K-9.
K-9 or Turner and Hooch. Something.
Yeah, both of those are great. K-9 is just such a good movie, though. It's just good.
I just like Jim Belushi so much,
Same.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is it's Chuck Norris and a dog, But, yeah, it's not. I like Chuck Norris stuff.
Yeah, was Walker on? Walker was happening by now, right? I think when we talked about him, I think Walker is happening at this point. So he's probably, he just picked up something in the off season. He said, his brother Aaron needed a directing gig to cover his DGA card, and
there's a lot of like. I mean, they're going after like neo-Nazis and KKK and stuff in this movie.
Yeah,
watch it because apparently it's going after all the racists and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where you'd find this film either.
Yeah, I don't know. That one's gonna be a deep dive in the Walmart dollar bin. You're gonna be going deep past all my movies. Even you're gonna be deep in there.
The problem is, and this is one of the issues that we're running into now. Those bins don't really exist anymore.
They do. You got to go to a small town where they still have them. That's your best chance.
I see them every once in a while, but they're certainly not as big, as large as they used to be, and they're small now. And yeah, I mean, those used to, I mean, I have pretty much half my DVD collection out of those bins. I mean,
I could tell the story of us going. It would be a late night when we lived at 105 Border Drive. Shout out to that crew. It would be a late night 105 Border Drive. we would be hungry or something. Something would trigger us to go into Walmart. It was like midnight or something because back then I didn't sleep like I do now. Tony's never slept. He's a vampire, I guess. But like we would go and we would just get one or two things, whatever it was. We'd get our little groceries or toilet paper, something stupid. And we'd have to go buy this dollar bin, and you would come out with a stack, bro. You always had a stack of movies. It was insane. It was impressive.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. The everyone always jokes about the Walmart dollar bin or the Walmart bin, right? Like being like where movies, go to die, kind of thing. Like movies like Top Dog maybe that didn't make a ton of movies at the box office, but there's a lot of big hits in those bins. Because the bin would be for movies that weren't necessarily huge or were really small, kind of like you joking about your movie or something like that, that might pop up in there. But also, it was where they put a lot of movies that were massive, but they just had a lot of stock, overstock on some of these movies. So it could be massive hits in there too. Like you could find Jurassic Park in there. They just had 800 copies of it, so they threw them all in there and just sell them off. You know?
Yeah, so the later on in the business, once we started going down this path, you start learning about these things. So one of the things that a lot of the distributors would do that screws the filmmaker is that they would mass produce these and charge the filmmaker. So everybody knows how it works. If you make a movie, let's say an independent film or something like I made, but you make these movies that you and I put together, and you make the movie and it goes into the cycle and it goes through and it gets bought. How they keep the majority of your money is they're like, oh, well, we had to make 3,000 units of Top Dog, right? Well,
Yeah.
then what happens is they charged you, the filmmaker or whoever the producer is, they charged you $15 a unit, but they really just sell them to Walmart for $5 a unit. So they make a ton of money, and it's despicable, but that is the truth. Now that physical is gone, it's changed that, at least that bad practice, but it also sucks because now there's a lot of movies you can't find. But that's the absolute scenario of it. That's what it is. I mean, I think that's where those bins came in handy, and they filled that void. They would offload, like you said, they'd have extra copies. If it's a big studio film, you get a great deal. If it's a little indie film, somebody's getting screwed. Just
Yeah.
the reality.
Yeah, what you just described happens more to the indie world. It's not as big of an issue with a large movie because they've already made their money back more than likely. So that's a problem. But the indies do get like your films get bought and chewed up and spit out.
It still happens today. It's just on Netflix. Netflix is the worst. They pay the worst to the worst.
Right. They don't pay anything. You get nothing.
Yeah,
You
they're
get
awful.
nothing. Yeah. You know, as I found 9 of my
Yeah,
movies are so
right. That's right.
you get nothing.
That takes us to the next film. I don't know this movie. You're going to have to, I hate to ask you to carry the load here, pal, but you're going to have to. This movie is called The Underneath. I have no concept of it whatsoever. I don't even know how it's on this list. I don't even know what it is. I've never heard of it.
All
No
right, let's
concept.
talk about it. So first of all, it's an early crime film by Steven Soderbergh, which is why I put it on.
Okay.
And I didn't see this one in theaters, but it is a rental for me because it's kind of a smaller film. Didn't really play much in theaters, but Steven Soderbergh, and of course it stars Peter Gallagher, William Fichtner, Jodan Baker, Shelley Duvall, Elizabeth Shue, Paul Dooley. So very good cast, and
Yeah.
Peter Gallagher is the lead, and it's this whole thing about he returns home. And he's got all these like gambling debts, and things start to happen. And it's like this nice sleek crime thriller. Um, but yeah, pretty good movie. Kind of if you can find it again, or if you're going to be able to. But if you can find this film, it's actually quite the sleek crime film. Early Steven Soderbergh before he got really big. And I mean, he's done
Is this
six.
pre?
He's
He's
done
okay. I
six.
was going to ask. Okay.
It's
Okay.
pre everything else you know. This is everything else you know him for. It's post Sex Lies Video. That's his first movie, but this is pre everything else like Traffic and all the other bigger movies that he's going to release. Um, and yeah, it's kind of a cool film. I worked with Peter Gallagher. Brian Pitt and I worked with Peter Gallagher actually on the first After movie. He's really nice dude. But yeah, really sweet guy. This is a good film for him as well. And a really good lead role for him. Yeah, I recommend this film if you can find it. It's actually quite good. But good luck.
Well, the next one on the list features an insanely cool cast in terms of who it is, because it's going to be Village of the Damned, and
Yes,
you're going to get Christopher Reeve, right?
it's correct.
You're going to get Mark Hamill,
Mark Hamill.
and there's some other. I can't remember who the other one was. Dang it,
Kirstie Alley.
Kirstie Alley. There we go.
Linda Kozlowski.
Mike Kozlowski.
Michael Perez. Yeah, pretty good cast. Directed by a little director, maybe you've heard of him, John Carpenter.
Right. So this is like this. I remember this coming out. I remember it being like for a long time throughout the 90s. It was one of the Halloween movies. Like it would always show up around Halloween. Like people liked this movie because it's freaky. It's weird. It's about aliens and children. It's a weird movie. It's very weird.
We saw it together.
Did we see this together?
Yes, we did.
Okay, there we go. All right, there it is.
Um,
Did I fall asleep?
Carmike, you might have fallen. That was kind of your thing, especially back then. Doing it still, but you did like to fall asleep at
It was
times.
cold, dark. I had a sandwich. I'm full. What else do you need?
It's a cool movie. It's like it's not a bad film at all. Actually, it's quite good. But it's like a $22 million movie that made like 10 million, so it was not a big film. It's not one of John Carpenter's big films by any means, but I quite liked it. It was, and I like the cast. It's kind of a weird cast with like Christopher Reeve and Kirstie Alley and this like John science fiction horror film.
Yeah, it's got the freaky kids in it. You got some freaky kids.
Yeah, a lot of freaky kids in it. Yeah, there's a lot.
What's crazy to me is that years later, now it's not about aliens, but well, as far as we know, years later, a movie comes out called Weapons, which is kind of like Village of the Damned in its own way. And it does bonker money. But in the 90s, we weren't ready for that yet. We weren't ready for kids to be freaky in movies. We just weren't there yet.
It's funny because I just saw the other night when the mystery movie was Ice Cream Man by Eli
Oh,
Roth.
that's his new one, right?
New one.
Yeah.
You talk about freaky kids. This is
Really?
this is a bunch of kids just mutilating human adults. It's a whole thing. The movie is nothing but kids just absolutely murdering adults in this town. Because there's like this ice cream man's been blamed for an atrocity that should have been blamed on other people. So he sells his soul to get revenge on this town many years later. And so all the kids who pinpointed him in the courtroom, pointed the finger at him in the courtroom, are now adults.
Wow.
He feeds ice cream to these kids, and then the song triggers them being killers. The ice cream song that comes out of the ice cream truck that
Wow.
everyone's grown up with, right? Uh, has triggers the kids to murder their parents and the adults in this town. It's pretty vicious, and it's been released in theaters as unrated. Believe it or not,
Wow.
yes. We don't usually get that, but it started happening when like Terrifier 3 came out. They decided that. So what does unrated mean when you go to the theater? It means that anybody can buy a ticket to this film. I don't think think when people hear unrated, they think um, it's bad. Nobody can really. That means if I can buy a ticket, you can buy a ticket. Your daughter could buy a ticket to,
Right.
she doesn't have to be a certain age because there's not an age requirement on the film when it's rated. That's crazy, right? But that's the
That
way it
is a little
is.
crazy. Yeah.
So this is it's probably one of the most violent films I've ever watched, and yeah. So Eli Roth didn't want to put it out as an R-rated film because he was like, this is the one that he wanted to have as unrated. It's fun. It's campy. It's fun and campy. It's funny. There's a lot of funny stuff in it. I was laughing. I was laughing. There was stuff that probably shouldn't be laughed at, but it was quite good. And
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
but
Speaking of the, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
John Carpenter went to Western Kentucky, not too around, maybe a little tiny bit before my dad. Around the same time frame. John Carpenter went to Western. He grew up in Bowling Green, Kentucky, which is a
He's a
place that
hilltopper.
he's a hilltopper. Yes, and he went there for the first couple of years or so of his college. So I like to mention that because my dad went to school there as well, and right around the same time as John Carpenter. So that's good.
That's
It's like,
fun. Super fun. I was just gonna say, speaking of the modern box office, how about Spider-Man, dude?
yeah. So it's weird. It opened up to $360 million domestic and $932 million worldwide. And it's
Crazy.
funny to watch these movies, right? So like I was telling everybody, I said, well, it opened at 360. So that's a record, by the way. 360 million domestically is a record. It beat Avengers Endgame by $3 million because that opened up to 357. When you're talking about these numbers, don't expect other movies to be there because these are numbers that are crazy. They're crazy. No, movies don't open up to $300 million opening weekend, traditionally speaking, but it did. So 360. Now there's an asterisk next to this because um, it got an entire Thursday from early to late at night added to its Friday, whereas Avengers Endgame didn't start Thursday previews until 6 p.m.
Oh, I see.
So at 3 million, I mean, yeah. So if Avengers had done the same thing as Spider Man and gotten the early showings, it would have more than made up that $3 million. So technically, Spider Man is the did break that record, but as this is why I tell people not to compare and contrast box office numbers from year to year, even month to month. To be honest with you, because there's just different things that are happening every time.
What
But
made me happy though is that I have been a lifelong Spider-Man fan. Like that is my favorite superhero. That's the comic that I stuck with the longest and been a big fan. And the superhero fatigue, I understand it. I get it. Supergirl, I enjoyed. What's that?
superhero fatigue does not pertain to Spider-Man ever. Just so you know.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, he's completely immune to superhero fatigue. Like 100, every one of his movies. Cause I went back and looked cause I was like, did they all have been strong box office contenders. Every single one of them.
No, they have at different levels.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, and at one point there was a little bit of fatigue because they were rebooting them so much at one point but these new ones with Tom Holland have all been massive, and yeah, I mean it's a really great franchise, and this movie is outstanding. It's really
It's so
really really
good. It's
quite
such a
good.
great movie.
Seen it a few times already, and it's really quite outstanding. But yeah, I mean, the numbers are staggering. So it opened up to that. It has opening weekend. This is just domestic we're talking about. We're not talking about worldwide, right? But just domestically, it has the opening weekend record now, and it has opening day record because that was over 160 million, 168 million. That's an opening day record. Of course, it got Thursday to add into that. So that again is also kind of an asterisk next to it as well. But it didn't break Avengers Endgame's records for Saturday and Sunday.
Interesting.
It didn't do that because it fell back after that huge first day. So it didn't break Avengers Endgame for Saturday and Sunday. So Avengers Endgame still has those two records. It did break the record for for a Monday. It broke the record for a Monday, so it went back up. It made 47 million on Monday. Believe it or not, that's a huge number on a Monday. $47 million on a Monday is just obscene. It's obscene. It's just never been done before. Never probably it might. We'll talk about that in a second. But then Tuesday, it broke that record. But then
Good
it didn't.
grief.
But then it didn't break the Wednesday record. So it
Interesting.
didn't break the Wednesday record. So that's still Force Awakens. And then we'll see what happens because haven't seen the Thursday numbers yet. So we film on Friday, so I haven't seen the Thursday numbers yet. So anyway, so I will though. I will though later today, and then so we'll see if it broke that. It's gonna be close because it actually went down quite a bit for Wednesday. So numbers are staggering. So the last Spider-Man movie made um, Far From Home. It made about 1.9 billion. I expect this to go over 2 billion.
Good grief.
I think it should be pretty close. And then at that point, it will be the eighth movie ever to do it.
Unbelievable.
There've been 8 movies ever to go over the $2 billion mark. No movie's ever gone over 3. It's never happened. I don't expect this to go over 3. Now, all this is just in the world right now because later on in the year we get Doomsday, and that could break all of these records because it's playing in a much better time frame. It's going to be playing during Christmas, and 2 weeks to build just this massive audience, and then it's going to be playing through January. So that's the Titanic time frame and the Avatar time frame. That's interested in
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah. It.
because superhero fatigue has nothing to do with Doomsday as well, and the Avengers. There's certain things that are immune from it. Here are the immunities right now. Spider-Man, Deadpool, especially when he's teamed with Wolverine. Uh, Batman, for the most part, is in pretty good shape because all those movies make money too. And then anything Avengers related, and then the Guardians did well right before we had this fatigue factor. So those are kind of the four we're good with.
Well, I get it. I get it for. I mean, Spider-Man and Batman are arguably two of the most beloved. I mean, Superman used to be there, but I think there's things with Superman. I think they did a great job on this last one. But what's fascinating about the Avengers films that really works well is they're always events. You go see it because it's an event. You know that you're going to see a lot of stuff happen. You know that the story is going to roller coaster you through a series of things. You even know that it's not done. You know, we knew that Endgame was the end of that story arc. We knew it was the end, right?
Right.
And there's major scenes in that where you're like, no, because they gave you such a cliffhanger. Brilliant filmmaking, and to do it, I think Infinity is a better movie, but like Endgame is great to close it out. Now we're going to land with Doomsday, which is basically Infinity again, because it's setting up the next movie, which is like the next big one, which is Secret Wars. Just this whole combination and the stuff that happens in between, so be it. But like, my parents saw the Infinity War and Endgame movies. They didn't see any other Marvel movie. They don't care. They'll see Spider-Man because my mom likes Spider-Man too. But like, they don't care about they don't watch all the shows. They don't know all this stuff, but they still enjoyed those two movies like everybody else because it's an event. It's brilliant, dude. It's absolutely brilliant.
$400 million. I expect Doomsday to open up to over $400 million. I'm going to call it right now. This was 360, and it was going up against the Odyssey in its third weekend, and the Odyssey made $51 million. while Spider-Man made 360. So two movies made over $400 million. Now, Doomsday will be kind of playing around the same time as Dune 3, but I don't think it'll affect it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody who's got a car and a way to get to the theater is going to want to see Doomsday with Robert Downey Jr. back in the fold. Are you kidding me? It's going to be harking back to like the old Avenger films and stuff. Come on, dude. Everybody's going to want to watch that movie.
Yeah,
Every
I think so too.
see that film.
I think so too. I think it'll be it's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy year box office wise. It's been nuts. We've talked about a lot of it. And if you guys like this kind of stuff and you want to stay tuned to more, Tony does a great job of updating our Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We put out clips. Maybe you saw a clip that led you to the show. But feel free to comment on all that stuff, or if you have questions, ask it, because we'll sit there and talk. We're not like some influencers that don't care. We love talking about this stuff. So feel free to follow us on all those, all of our social channels, and come hang out with us. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap up this episode?
I mean, I think I've talked enough. I think they're tired of hearing me.
He's tired of hearing him. All right, well, I'm going to give you the last word, and I'm going to hit the big red button.
Yeah. Peace. Have a great weekend.